Ever scrolled through those super quick YouTube videos, those shorts, and just wondered how some of them rack up absolutely massive view counts?
Oh, yeah, it can be pretty staggering sometimes.
Well, today on the deep dive, we're going to explore that world, specifically how YouTube counts those views and what some recent changes mean. This is especially key if you're maybe new to creating online video or thinking about it.
That's right. YouTube Shorts have, well, they've really become a significant part of the online video world, very similar to what you see on TikTok or,
Yeah,
Instagram Reels.
exactly. They offer this way to consume and also create these short, sort of engaging videos.
hmm
And YouTube has announced a pretty big change. It's coming up March 31st, 2025. It's about how they actually count the number of times these shorts are viewed.
Right.
So, our goal today, our mission, is to understand what this change is really all about, why YouTube is making it, and importantly, what it means for anyone thinking about making videos or even just watching them.
Okay. We'll be looking at what YouTube themselves have actually said and also some of the buzz, in the online video industry about this.
Sounds good. So, maybe we should start with how things used to work, the old way.
Yeah, let's do that. So, historically, thinking about YouTube views in general, not just shorts,
Mm.
it wasn't usually enough for a video to just like flash on your screen.
Right.
A view was generally counted only after someone watched for a certain amount of time, a few seconds usually.
Okay.
And the same was basically true for shorts. There was a minimum watch time requirement before it officially counted as a view.
You had to stick around for a little bit for it to register.
Yeah.
Makes sense. But that's shifting, like you said, March 31st, 2025.
hmm
From that date, YouTube says, and I'm quoting here, shorts views will count every time a short starts to play or replay with no minimum watch time requirement.
No minimum watch time. That's the key phrase.
Yeah, it sounds like a pretty fundamental change, doesn't it?
It really is. I mean, imagine you're just scrolling through your feed, right? And a short starts playing for maybe just a split second before you swipe to the next one.
Yep. Happens all the time.
Well, under this new system, that split second, that will now count as a view.
Wow.
So we're definitely moving from a system that, somewhat measured sustained attention, even if just for a few seconds,
Right.
to one that's much more about just the initial impression.
Yeah.
Did it start playing at all?
Okay, so the big question then is why? Why the change? What's YouTube hoping to achieve here?
Well, their official line is that they've heard from creators. They say creators want a, quote, deeper understanding of how often your shorts are seen.
Seen, not necessarily watched through.
Exactly. Especially if creators are posting their content on different platforms.
Hmm.
They want to know, basically, how many times their short is actually presented to people, appeared on a screen.
So it's about the sheer reach, the number of times it gets put in front of eyeballs, regardless of how long those eyeballs stick around.
That seems to be the focus, yeah. It's about recognizing that creators want visibility metrics. How many times did it appear? And actually, this brings their view counting for shorts maybe more in line with how some other short-form video platforms operate.
Interesting. Okay, so if you're someone making shorts or thinking about starting,
Yeah.
you might be wondering, is that old way, the time-based counting, just gone?
Good question.
Yeah.
And no, it's not disappearing entirely. YouTube says they're going to keep that original time-based way of measuring views.
Oh, okay.
They're just giving it a new name. It'll be called engaged views.
Engaged views.
Yeah. And you'll be able to find this metric in YouTube Analytics. That's the dashboard creators use to see performance stats, specifically in the advanced mode section.
And this engaged views metric, YouTube says, will still show creators, quote, how many viewers choose to continue watching your shorts.
Exactly. So this is a really important point for creators, especially new ones, to grasp. While that main view count, the one you see publicly maybe, might go up a lot just because of plays and replays.
Right, those split-second views.
Yeah. Engaged views will still give you a sense of how captivating your content actually is. How many people are sticking around to watch more than just a brief moment.
Two different numbers telling slightly different stories about your shorts performance.
Precisely. One about initial reach, the other about sustained interest.
Okay, this leads straight to the money question, doesn't it? For creators hoping to actually earn something on YouTube, will this change in how headline views are counted affect that?
YouTube is being quite clear on this point. They state that this new way of counting views, the starts to play method, will not directly impact your earnings or how you can become eligible for the YouTube Partner Program.
Okay, and maybe we should quickly explain for folks who are newer to this. The YouTube Partner Program, or YPP, that's basically how creators get approved to run ads on their videos and actually earn revenue, right?
That's it, yeah. It's the main way creators monetize directly through YouTube ads.
So YouTube is saying your ability to join the YPP and how much you potentially earn from ads. That's still going to be based on those engaged views.
Correct. It's based on how many people are actually watching your content for a meaningful amount of time, not just how many times it started playing.
That's a really crucial distinction, especially if you're thinking about shorts as a way to build an income stream.
Absolutely critical. Because while your overall public-facing view count might shoot up,
Which could look impressive.
it could look very impressive.
Yeah.
But advertisers and YouTube's partner program itself, they're still primarily interested in genuine engagement. They want to see that viewers are actually interested, not just that the video flickered past their screen.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so it's probably safe to assume then we'll see those main view counts on shorts go up maybe quite a bit
Well,
after March 31st, 2025.
Oh, almost certainly.
Mhm.
YouTube themselves even acknowledge this, saying, quote, views may be higher moving forward.
Get ready to potentially see some really big numbers next to those shorts.
Absolutely. Because every single time a short starts to play, even for that fraction of a second or if it replays, that gets counted. It's almost guaranteed that the overall view numbers we see reported for shorts will increase, possibly quite significantly.
How significantly are we talking? Any guesses out there?
Well, some industry watchers, looking at how similar platforms count views, have suggested the total number of shorts views presented across the platform could maybe even triple after this change.
Whoa, potentially triple. That's a huge potential jump.
It's a massive potential shift in the reported numbers, yeah.
So back to YouTube's perspective. What do they hope creators will gain from this, besides maybe seeing bigger numbers? They mention it giving a deeper understanding of your short's performance to help with content strategy. How does just seeing a bigger number of initial plays really help with strategy?
Well, the idea they're putting forward is that this broader view count gives creators a better sense of their overall reach. Even if someone doesn't watch the whole thing, the fact that it played at all means it was presented to them, it got onto their screen.
Okay.
So this could potentially help creators get a feel for which topics, or maybe which visual styles, are getting their content seen by more people initially, like what's grabbing attention enough to even start playing.
Like an indicator of initial scroll stopping power, maybe?
Sort of, yeah. And YouTube also suggests this could help creators, quote, better represent your work to potential brand or agency partners.
Right, because they can show a bigger reach number.
Exactly. And it might give them a fuller picture of your overall reach if they're also posting those same videos on, say, TikTok or Reels and want to compare how often they're being initially surfaced.
So it's partly about being able to show, hey, my content is being put in front of a lot of eyeballs, even if the data on how long those eyeballs stick around is now a separate metric, that engaged view one.
That seems to be the logic, yes. A broad reach metric and a separate engagement metric.
Now let's pivot a bit. One of the things our sources brought up is the wider context. What that means for the industry. How might this change in how YouTube counts shorts views ripple outwards?
Well, like we touched on, those potentially much higher view counts could make certain creators appear more visible, or maybe more successful at first glance, to advertisers or companies looking for influencers.
Because the number looks bigger.
Right. If someone, maybe a brand manager who isn't super deep into the metrics, sees a short with millions and millions of views under the new system, they might initially perceive that creator as having a larger audience reach than perhaps the engaged views would suggest.
That's a really good point. It's like that big headline number could definitely grab attention, even if you need to dig deeper for the full story.
Exactly. And our sources also suggest, and this seems very likely, that this move by YouTube is probably part of a bigger picture, a larger competition among major platforms.
You mean YouTube, TikTok, Meta, which is Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat?
Mm-hmm. They're all trying to attract and keep content creators. It's often described as a war for creator attraction.
Why is that so important for them?
Because fundamentally, the platform that has the most and the best active creators usually ends up with the largest, most engaged user base. Content drives eyeballs, and eyeballs drive revenue.
Makes sense. Content is king, as they say.
Right. And short-form video, like shorts, is a format that many people find relatively easy to get started with, compared to maybe longer, more produced videos.
Lower barrier to entry.
Exactly. And creators, especially maybe newer or smaller ones, often tend to favor platforms where they feel like their efforts are getting noticed quickly, where they see results.
And how do they often measure those results emotionally at first?
Often it's just views, right? It's that immediate feedback loop. Wow, 10,000 people saw my video. So by potentially making those view counts on shorts look higher,
Even if it's just initial plays.
right? YouTube might be trying to look more appealing to make creators think, hey, look how many people are seeing my stuff over here on YouTube Shorts. It could be a way to compete more effectively for those new and emerging creators.
It's almost like an advertising pitch to creators. Come make shorts here and watch your view counts soar. Even if the underlying engagement or monetization reality is more nuanced, with that separate engaged views metric.
That could definitely be part of the strategy, yeah. Make the platform look vibrant and full of reach for creators starting out.
But, and this feels really crucial, one of our sources specifically emphasizes this point. Higher view count does not mean higher audience engagement or even higher monetization potential. That feels like the big asterisk here, doesn't it?
Absolutely critical. It's probably the most important takeaway for anyone creating content or thinking about it. Just because your shorts might start showing more views under this new system, it doesn't automatically mean your audience is more engaged than before.
Or more engaged than on another platform.
And more engaged than on another
Yeah.
platform, right?
Yeah.
And it certainly doesn't automatically mean you'll be earning more money on YouTube. Engagement, which is better reflected in that engaged views metric they're keeping. That remains the much more meaningful indicator of how well your content is truly connecting with viewers and what your potential might be for monetization through ads or brand deals.
So don't get too dazzled by just the potentially bigger top-line number after March 31st. Look deeper.
Exactly. Look at both numbers YouTube will provide.
Okay, so let's try and sort of wrap this up, bring it all together. YouTube Shorts is changing how it counts views. Starting March 31st, 2025, it's moving to a system that basically counts every single time a short starts to play or replays, no minimum watch time needed.
Correct. A shift from duration-based to impression-based, essentially.
And while this might give creators, as YouTube says, a broader sense of how often their shorts are being seen, put in front of people,
That initial reach.
it's also likely a strategic move by YouTube to stay competitive with platforms like TikTok and Reels, especially in attracting those new and upcoming creators who might be motivated by seeing higher view counts quickly.
Very likely a big factor, yes. The competitive landscape.
But crucially for creators, especially those interested in making money or joining the YouTube Partner Program, that eligibility and your actual earnings will still depend on the old metric, now called engaged views.
That's the key takeaway for monetization. Engaged views still matter most there. It measures how many people actually chose to watch for more than just a quick flicker.
So we should definitely expect to see higher overall view counts reported for shorts after the change.
Almost certainly. Big numbers, potentially.
But remember, that doesn't automatically equal more real engagement or more income. The two metrics, views and engaged views, will tell different parts of the story.
Precisely. This change really highlights that platforms measure success in different ways. And it's just so important for creators and anyone analyzing video performance to look beyond just that top-line view number.
Understanding both will be key. That initial reach from the new view count and the actual sustained interest from engaged views.
Yeah, you'll need both to really figure out your content strategy effectively.
So for you, the listener, especially if you're maybe just starting out in this world of online video or you're just curious about how it all works behind the scenes, think about this shift. What does this emphasis on initial views versus that sustained engagement mean for the kind of content that might get prioritized?
That's a great question. Does it incentivize just grabbing attention for a second or something more?
And what kind of insights will those engaged views, ones that track actual watch time, provide that the raw, potentially huge view counts might actually miss? It definitely gives you something interesting to chew on.